I'm a simple creature. If someone tells me there's a new game from Devolver Digital, then I'm gonna be there day one, and in this case, I'm lucky enough to be bringing you all a preview of Bleak Sword DX on the Switch, centered around the opening 4 worlds of gameplay. Join me today as we explore what to expect from this experience. Are there any concerns regarding its origins as an Apple arcade game, and just how many times did I meet my demise in a game that promises a healthy dose of challenge? Let's find out. My name's Alex, so this is SwitchCorner. If you do enjoy the video, consider subscribing, helps us out a huge amount. Also, let me know your favourite Devolver game in the comments below. It's a hell of a library. Bleak Sword DX pleasantly surprised me with its commitment to storytelling. Despite its basic visual style and seemingly simple concept, the game features ongoing cutscenes that add charm to the overall experience. These fully subtitled scenes immerse you in the world, they introduce you to a cast of characters, and they set the stage for your adventure to lift the curse of the Bleak Swords. As previously mentioned, my playtime with the game was limited to the first 4 worlds or locations, and today I'd like to delve into what I've experienced this far, including the various modes and the options available. Now, this game offers a unique take on the Souls-like genre with a focus on stamina-based combat and parrying incoming attacks. A good starting point for all players though is gonna be the brief tutorial. It can be found in the options menu, or it will be prompted when starting a new game. It doesn't really overwhelm you here with complex controls, instead it emphasizes mastering simplicity and using it strategically against progressively challenging opponents. So in addition to movement, the game offers various combat mechanics. We have the ability to attack, dodge and block incoming attacks. In one world I even had the opportunity to ride a horse, which introduced a jump mechanic for avoiding obstacles at high speed. Now, holding down the attack input allows us to deliver a strong attack, and furthermore we have 2 inventory slots represented in the lower left of the screen. These can be used by tapping left or right on the D-pad. The stamina meter then is located below our health bar in the top left of the screen. It is only affected by our attacks and it does drain quickly. However, blocking or dodging, they are unlimited, but it's worth noting that when the stamina bar is recharging, performing a block or dodge will momentarily pause that recharge process. So as I said, the control scheme is simple, and that really is all there is to it, but mastering it is going to be crucial as you encounter enemies with unique attack patterns and movement styles. You know, for example, be wary of enemies with unblockable attacks indicated by a red exclamation mark. Additionally, some enemies can dash across the screen at high speed, posing a challenge for the block and parry mechanic, which really only activates for a very brief moment. Boss encounters then have been a highlight as well, with a common theme of these being much larger, I guess, than our protagonist. Dodging becomes essential in these moments as their swings often cover a significant portion of the battlefield. One of the aspects I've really enjoyed the most about Bleak Sword DX though is its commitment to a constantly evolving cast of enemies that keep you on your toes. 4 worlds in, or locations as I said, the game continues to introduce new enemy types, and I hope that momentum carries throughout its full 12 worlds. Most recently I've encountered variations of previous enemies, equipped now with shields and projectile attacks. I've even come across situations where I couldn't directly reach an enemy, requiring me to strategically use their own projectiles against each other because, yes, in here there is friendly fire. The world of Bleak Sword DX then is not just filled with formidable enemies, but also environmental hazards that add to the challenge. Fire can burn both us and our foes, while water, for example, slows down our movement. Additionally, there are objects in the world that obstruct our view, further intensifying the action. The levels here are designed to be fast-paced, they're incredibly small, typically lasting no longer than 60 seconds, and so far the objective has been simple: eliminate all featured enemies before moving on. Upon completing a level, you'll have the opportunity here to make strategic choices in regarding your playstyle. You can find items that offer health regeneration or stat boosts, but it's important to note that health in this game does not fully regenerate after each level. So basically consider your decisions wisely to ensure your survival. Our protagonist can also then level up, and when we do, we can impact one of 3 areas, that's health, attack and defense. Each time we reach a new level, we are presented with 2 options to enhance one of these aspects. Initially I focused heavily on increasing health, but I later realized that a more attack orientated character would suit my playstyle better, so it's definitely worth thinking about this in advance. Finally, for the gameplay so far, let's talk difficulty. Now, it's never been unfair, this is completely on me, but this game is far from easy. I am 4 locations in, and these are made up of a varying number of levels. In total so far, I've overcome 42 different levels, and that leaves 8 locations to go with an unknown number of levels packed into each. Basically, I'm not all that far into the game yet, and so far, thanks to a handy stats screen accessible from the main menu, I've died 48 times, but I've killed 351 opponents. This screen does tell me though I need to use heavy attacks more, but I still need to practice and get that timing right, as it currently feels too high risk, and I also need to make use of items more as well. In addition to the core experience, Bleak Sword DX offers several extra features and modes. The inclusion of a bestiary is a nice touch, indicating that there are more unique enemies to encounter in the game ahead. There's also a cutscene rewatch option, allowing players to revisit the game's storyline. And then as for the modes, the DX version expands on the original Apple Arcade release with new locations, an extended story, and I'm currently playing that DX mode, but there's also 2 additional modes called the Arena and Boss Rush mode that I do expect to unlock after completing the game. I'll be providing more details on these modes in the full review closer to the game's launch. Should you want to experience this one as well, as it originally was released on Apple Arcade, you can access that from the menu as well. I want to briefly discuss then the visuals and audio too. The game's lo-fi design initially caught my attention, and I gotta say it works incredibly well. Despite our lead character being represented as a simple stick figure, the visuals are surprisingly effective. The combat animations are clear and easy to understand, while the cutscenes are particularly impressive and full of charm. The locations in the game quickly evolve, providing a sense of progression as you move from wooded areas to swamps to even a city that is under attack with visible destruction and fire. The overall design just allows you to stay focused on the action, although I did have to adjust to the fact that objects in the foreground, they can occasionally obstruct visibility, though this is clearly intentional. In terms of visual options, then the game offers 2 modes, performance and quality. I didn't really expect this, but most of my gameplay experience this far, it was in performance mode, so I can't speak too much about the quality mode, but from what I've seen, quality mode essentially adds a significant bloom effect that intensifies the game's brightness, which personally, or at least from what I've seen, isn't to my taste. As for the audio, there isn't a significant amount of it this far. There is no voice acting, but the music is solid and fitting for the game's world. Did notice a couple of instances where the music abruptly cuts off during cutscenes, which was, I guess, a minor drawback. However, the weapons and attacks sound satisfying, and yeah, it is good so far, but like every other area, I really need to finish the game to give you a definitive opinion. So overall, I think Bleak Sword DX appears to be another winner from Devolver Digital, who have a talent for bringing only the best to the Switch. This far, the combat is simple yet intense, the world is unique, and the story is quite a bit more in-depth than I anticipated. I think this is one you potentially need to keep an eye on, and keep an eye on the channel as well, where we will have a full review right around launch. Regarding its Apple Arcade roots as well, for me, this is a game that absolutely deserved its time to shine on consoles, because there's just so many good games over there on that system that absolutely need to reach the Switch. So thanks again to Devolver for giving me this opportunity to have an advanced look, and with that, hit subscribe, join us here for reviews, deals, news and lists daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.